I found my boyfriend on a dating app while he was sitting right next to me. Even now, writing that feels unreal. Like the kind of story people invent for attention. But it happened. And the worst part is that 2 seconds before I saw it, everything felt completely normal. It was a Thursday night, around 10. Daniel and I were at his apartment, half watching a show neither of us even liked. He was stretched out on the couch with a bowl of popcorn, and I was next to him, scrolling on my phone during the boring parts. We had been together almost 2 years, long enough for me to know his habits, his expressions, the way he tapped his fingers when he was distracted. Everything felt familiar, safe. Earlier that week, one of my coworkers had convinced me to download a dating app just to laugh at profiles with her. She had just gotten out of a breakup and wanted company while she went back into what she called the digital circus. I told her I had no business being on a dating app, and she said that was exactly why it would be funny. So I downloaded it, sent her a few screenshots, and forgot to delete it. That night, out of pure boredom, I opened it. I was not suspicious. I was not looking for Daniel. I swiped past a blurry mirror selfie, then a guy holding a fish, then someone whose bio just said, "Guess my red flags." Then I swiped again and froze. It was Daniel. Not someone who looked like him, not maybe him. It was him. Same smile, same black t-shirt, same silver chain he wore almost every day. Even worse, the picture had clearly been taken in his bedroom. I recognized the mirror immediately. My whole body went cold. The TV kept playing. Daniel shifted beside me and grabbed more popcorn like nothing had happened. Meanwhile, I was staring at his face on a dating profile while he sat less than a foot away from me. I looked for some explanation. Name, Daniel, 29. Correct. Then I read the bio. Marketing by day, good coffee, and better conversation by night. Looking for something real, no drama. I felt my face get hot reading that. Then I saw the green label. Active now. For a second, I could hear my heartbeat louder than the TV. What happened? Daniel asked. I looked up too fast. What? You made a face. I forced a laugh. Nothing, just saw a weird profile. He smiled and looked back at the screen. That bad? You have no idea, I said. My hands were shaking, but I angled the phone away from him and took screenshots as carefully as I could. One of the profile, one of the bio, one of the green label. Then I scrolled. There were more pictures. One at a cafe I had been to with him. One in a blue button-up I had helped him pick out. One looked cropped from a photo I had taken myself. That one hit the hardest. Suddenly, every weird little thing from the last few weeks came back to me. Him keeping his phone face down. Him replying slower at night. Him saying he was too tired to hang out, then somehow still being awake online past midnight. Nothing huge by itself, just small things I had ignored because I trusted him. Now they all felt sharp. You okay? He asked again, lowering the volume this time. I locked my phone and placed it face down on my leg. Yeah, just tired. He studied me for a second. Daniel had one of those faces that always looked sincere. It was one of the things people liked about him. It was one of the things I had loved about him. You want me to make tea? He asked. That nearly broke me. Because in that moment, I realized I had no idea if I was sitting next to a good boyfriend or a very good liar. I nodded. Sure. The second he stood up and walked into the kitchen, I unlocked my phone again. The profile was still there, still active, and then the distance updated. Less than 1 kilometer away. I slowly turned my head toward the kitchen, where Daniel was humming like it was a normal night. And for the first time, I stopped wondering if the profile was his. I started wondering how long he had been doing this while sitting right next to me. Si quieres, ahora te escribo las también con máximo 500 caracteres. I did not confront Daniel that night. I wanted to. I wanted to walk straight into the kitchen, put my phone in his face, and ask him how long he had been lying to me. But something told me not to. Maybe it was shock. Maybe instinct. Maybe I just needed one more piece of proof before I blew up my own life. So when he came back with 2 mugs of tea and sat beside me like everything was normal, I acted normal too. Or at least I tried. "You're quiet," he said. "Just tired," I replied. He nodded, sipped his tea, and kept watching the show. I barely saw any of it. My mind was stuck on the same image, his face on that profile, the green "Active Now" label, the stupid polished bio. I left a little after midnight. The whole drive home felt unreal. At every stoplight, I checked the screenshots again, like they might somehow turn into proof that I was mistaken. But they did not change. It was still him. The second I got home, I texted Sophia. Sophia had been my best friend since college. She was smart, sharp, and impossible to lie to. If I was overreacting, she would tell me. If I was not, she would help me think straight. I sent her the screenshots with one message. "Tell me I'm not crazy." She replied almost immediately. "Wait, is that Daniel?" My chest tightened. So it was obvious. Not just to me. Not some strange look-alike. Him. "Yes," I wrote. "I found it while he was sitting next to me." The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, then came back. Finally, she sent, "Mia, I need to ask you something." I stared at the screen. "What?" Another pause. "I think I've seen that profile before." I sat up in bed so fast I almost dropped my phone. "What do you mean before?" She replied in short messages, like she was thinking too hard about every word. "A few weeks ago, one of my coworkers was swiping during lunch. She showed me a guy she thought was cute. I remember the chain and the smile because he looked familiar. I just didn't realize it was Daniel until now." A few weeks ago. That meant this was not old, not fake, not forgotten. If someone else had seen it recently, then the account had been active for a while. I called her right away. She picked up on the first ring. "Hey, you saw it weeks ago and didn't tell me?" "I didn't know it was him," she said quickly. "Mia, I'm serious. I only glanced at it. If I had recognized him, I would have said something." I wanted to believe her. I really did. "What else do you remember?" I asked. "Not much," she said. "Just the photo and part of the bio." I looked down at my phone. The bio says, "Good coffee and better conversation." "I know," she said. I froze. I had only sent her the first screenshot, not the full bio. There was a small silence before she added, "I mean, I remember that part." My stomach turned. "Sophia?" I said slowly. "I didn't send you that screenshot." She gave a quick laugh, but it sounded off. "Then I remembered more than I thought." Maybe that should have made sense, but it did not. I opened the app again and read the bio more carefully. There was one line near the bottom I had been too upset to notice before. "If you know a place with amazing tres leches, we'll get along." I just stared at it. That was not random. A few weeks earlier, Sophia and I had spent almost an hour joking that my whole personality was built around judging cafes by their tres leches cake. Daniel had been there, but barely paying attention. At least, that was what I thought. Now that exact detail was in his dating bio. Sophia? I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Why does his profile mention tres leches? She went quiet. Then she said, maybe he heard you say it and thought it was cute. The answer should have reassured me. Instead, it made me feel sick. Because now I had two terrible possibilities. Either Daniel was using details from my life to sound more charming to strangers, or someone close to me had helped him build that fake version of himself. I ended the call a few minutes later, pretending I needed sleep. I did not sleep. I stayed in bed staring at the screenshots, replaying every weird moment from the last month. Daniel keeping his phone face down. Daniel smiling at texts and saying it was nothing. Daniel suddenly caring more about how he looked when we went out, but acting distracted the whole time. And now, Sophia somehow knew lines from a bio she was not supposed to know. At around 1 in the morning, I opened the app again. The profile was gone. I refreshed. Still gone. My chest tightened. There were only two explanations. Either Daniel had deleted the account, or he had blocked me. And if he had blocked me, that meant one thing. He knew I had seen it. The second Daniel's profile vanished, I knew one thing for sure. He had seen me. Maybe not physically looking at his profile, maybe not the exact screen, but somehow, something had tipped him off. My first thought was panic. My second was worse. If Daniel knew I had found the account, why hadn't he said anything? Why was he pretending everything was normal? That question kept me awake until sunrise. By morning, I decided I needed proof before confronting him. Not screenshots he could explain away. Real proof. So I made a fake dating profile. It felt pathetic and humiliating, sitting at my kitchen table creating a burner account like I was in some trashy reality show. I used old photos, changed the name, adjusted the age, and set the radius near Daniel's area. Then I started swiping. Nothing. For 40 minutes. Nothing. Then, there he was. Same photos, same bio, still active. My stomach dropped. He had not deleted the profile. He had blocked my real account, meaning he knew I found it. And instead of confessing, he simply made sure I could not see it. That level of calculation made my skin crawl. I screenshotted everything. Then I did something reckless. I matched with him. Within minutes, he messaged first. Hey, beautiful smile. I stared at the screen in disbelief. My boyfriend of 2 years was flirting with my fake profile before noon. I replied carefully. Thanks. You seem familiar somehow. He answered. I get that a lot. Maybe I just have one of those faces. The audacity! I kept chatting. He said he was single, claimed his last relationship ended months ago because his ex was emotionally draining. Emotionally draining. I had to set the phone down after reading that. Because less than 12 hours earlier, he had kissed my forehead and made me tea. Now he was online pretending I was some unstable ex. Then it got worse. I asked what kind of girls he usually dated. He replied, smart girls, ambitious. My last girlfriend wasn't really on my level intellectually. I actually stopped breathing. That was not generic. That was personal. That was contempt. I had spent 2 years supporting this man, helping him through job changes, editing his resume, celebrating promotions. And behind my back, He thought I was beneath him. Then came the final blow. I asked what he wanted from the app. He replied, "Something real this time. I wasted too much time with the wrong person." I threw my phone across the couch. Because this was not confusion, not temptation, not a mistake. Daniel was actively shopping for my replacement while still sleeping in my bed. And then I thought of Sophia. The bio, the weird pause, the exact quote. How she somehow knew part of the bio before I told her. My stomach twisted. Because if Sophia had helped him, if my best friend knew, then this was bigger than cheating. I opened our text thread and searched one word. Daniel. Hundreds of messages appeared. Most were normal. Then I found something odd from months earlier. Sophia had texted, "Still can't believe you got him to wear the blue button-up, LOL." I froze. Because I had never told Sophia I picked that shirt. Another message. "You two are weirdly perfect together." Then, "He's lucky you put up with him." Harmless at first glance, but now every message felt wrong. Then I remembered brunch 3 months earlier. I had arrived late. Daniel and Sophia were already there, laughing hard. When I asked what was funny, Sophia had smiled too fast and said, "Just stupid stuff." At the time, I ignored it. Now every memory felt poisoned. And for the first time that day, my heartbreak gave way to something colder. Because if Sophia was involved, I was not dealing with betrayal. I was dealing with a lie built by two people I trusted most. And I was done being the last person to know. I spent the rest of that day pretending I was not unraveling. I answered work emails, folded laundry, watched half an episode of something without absorbing a single second of it, all while replaying every interaction between Daniel and Sophia over the last 2 years, like my brain had become a detective against my own will. Had they always been flirting? Had I missed something obvious? Or worse, had everyone noticed except me? By evening, I had made a decision. I needed to know if Sophia was involved before I accused anyone. So, I tested her. I texted, "Hey, random question. Did Daniel ever seem weird to you lately?" She replied almost instantly, "No? Why?" Too fast. Too casual. I stared at the typing bubble that never came back. Then I wrote, "I found something strange yesterday. I might be overthinking, but can I call you later?" Her answer took longer this time. "Of course. Everything okay?" I did not reply. Instead, I waited. Because if Sophia was innocent, nothing would happen. If she was not, someone would warn Daniel. And less than 20 minutes later, my phone lit up. Daniel. Incoming call. My stomach dropped. I let it ring once before answering. "Hey," I said. His voice sounded careful. "Everything okay?" There it was. The confirmation. He knew. Because Sophia had told him. "Yeah," I said slowly. "Why?" "You just seem off today." "I'm fine." Silence. Then he laughed softly. "Okay, just checking." We hung up. I sat frozen on my couch, staring at the screen. That was all the proof I needed. She had gone straight to him. Not me. Not concern, not confusion. She had warned him. My best friend was protecting my boyfriend from me. I wish I could say I cried. I didn't. At that point, I had moved past crying and into something colder, focused. Because heartbreak is one thing, humiliation is another. But betrayal by two people at once? That changes you. I texted Daniel and asked if he wanted to come over the next night for dinner. He replied immediately, "Of course. Miss you." I almost laughed. Then I texted Sophia. "Can you come by after dinner tomorrow? Need your advice about something." She said yes. Perfect. The next 24 hours were surreal. I cleaned my apartment, bought wine, cooked pasta, set the table like I was hosting a normal evening. And the whole time I kept thinking, neither of them know I know. Daniel arrived first. He kissed me at the door. I let him. Every instinct in my body wanted to recoil, but I forced myself to stay calm. He complimented dinner, held my waist while I stirred sauce, talked about work, performed normal so convincingly that if I had not seen the profile myself, I would have thought I was insane. Then, halfway through dinner, the doorbell rang. Daniel frowned. "Expecting someone?" I smiled. "Actually, yes." I stood and opened the door. Sophia stepped inside, carrying a bottle of wine. She looked between us, confused. Then her expression shifted, because she saw my face, and instantly knew. "What's going on?" Daniel asked. I closed the door, set the wine on the counter, then placed my phone in the middle of the table. Dating profile screenshots first, then fake profile messages, then call logs showing Daniel calling right after I texted Sophia. No one spoke. The silence was so thick it felt physical. Finally, I looked at Sophia. "You told him." Her face went pale. "Mia, no. Don't start with my name like I'm overreacting." Daniel stood. "Babe, I can explain." I snapped toward him. "Sit down." And for once, he did. I looked at Sophia again. "How long?" Tears filled her eyes immediately, which somehow made me angrier. "Mia, it's not what you think. How long?" I repeated. Her lip trembled. Then she whispered, 6 months. The room tilted. I genuinely had to grip the table. 6 months. Not flirting, not emotional cheating, not one mistake. Half a year. Daniel started talking fast. "It started after that party." I held up a hand. "Do not." He stopped, because there was nothing he could say that would not make it worse. I looked at Sophia. "My best friend?" She started crying. "It wasn't supposed to happen." I laughed. A sharp, ugly laugh. "Oh, that's comforting. You accidentally slept with my boyfriend for half a year?" Daniel tried again. "We were going to tell you." That made me laugh harder. "Were you? Before or after you found my replacement on Hinge?" Both of them froze. And in that moment, I knew. There was more. Much more. I stared directly at Daniel. "How many girls?" His face changed, just for a second. But it was enough. And I realized with absolute horror, Sophia was not the affair. She was only one of them. The moment Daniel hesitated, everything inside me went cold. Not because I knew exactly what it meant, because I knew enough. There is a very specific kind of silence people make when they are deciding whether to lie again or finally admit the truth. And Daniel was making it. I stared at him. How many? He rubbed a hand over his face. Mia, please. How many girls? Sophia started crying harder. I didn't know there were others. I turned to her so fast, she flinched. You knew enough. Then I looked back at Daniel. He exhaled slowly, like somehow this was difficult for him. There were a few dates. I laughed in disbelief. A few dates? It didn't mean anything. I slammed my hand on the table so hard, the wine glasses rattled. You were sleeping with my best friend while running a dating profile from beside me, and you want credit because the other girls were just dates? Neither of them spoke, because there was no defense left. Then Daniel said something that made the entire situation even more disgusting. I was trying to figure things out. I stared at him. What does that even mean? His jaw tightened. It means things between us haven't felt right for a while. There it was, the coward's strategy. Shift blame, rewrite history, act like betrayal was just messy emotional confusion. I laughed again, but there was no humor in it. So instead of breaking up with me like an adult, you cheated on me with my best friend, looked for replacements online, and lied to my face for months because you were figuring things out? He had the audacity to look frustrated. It's not that simple. No, I said. It actually is. Sophia was sobbing now. I never meant for this to happen. I turned to her. You knew every insecurity I had about trust. She cried harder. You knew what my last relationship did to me. Mia, I know. You held me while I cried over being cheated on before, I said, my voice shaking now. And then you did this anyway. That shut her up. Because some betrayals are too ugly, even for excuses. Then Daniel made his final mistake. He said, If I'm honest, I think we both know this relationship has been comfortable for a while, not passionate. For a second, I just stared at him. Then I smiled, because suddenly, I understood everything. This man had spent months betraying me and still needed to believe he was the victim. Needed to believe he was brave for chasing passion. Needed to reduce 2 years of love into comfortable so he could sleep at night. I stood up. Get out. Daniel blinked. Mia, get out. He stood slowly. You're emotional right now. I grabbed his jacket from the chair and threw it at his chest. Leave, before I throw both of you out myself. Sophia stood too, crying so hard she could barely breathe. Mia, please. I pointed at the door. Do not ever say my name again. They left, together. That was the part that nearly broke me. Watching them walk out side by side after destroying my life, as if they belonged to each other now. The second the door shut, I collapsed. Not dramatic movie crying, not graceful tears. I folded onto the kitchen floor and sobbed so hard I could barely breathe. Because losing a boyfriend hurts. Losing your best friend hurts. Losing both in one night because they chose each other? That kind of pain feels surgical. Like someone removed your ability to trust and left the wound open. I did not go to work the next day, or the day after. I ignored everyone. Barely ate, barely slept. My phone blew up constantly. Texts from Daniel, calls from Sophia, long apologies, excuses, requests to explain. I blocked them both. Then, on the third day, my friend Jenna called. Not texted, called. The second I answered, she said, "Mia, I think you need to sit down." My stomach dropped. What now? There was a pause. Then Daniel and Sophia posted each other. I froze. What? Instagram. Last night. My vision blurred. No. I'm sorry. Hands shaking, I opened Instagram. And there they were, at some rooftop bar, Daniel's arm around Sophia, her head on his shoulder, huge smiles. The caption, "Funny how life puts the right person in front of you when the wrong chapter ends." I could not breathe. 3 days. 3 days after destroying me, and they were posting like some grand love story. Then I looked at the comments. People congratulating them, heart emojis, friends saying, "Finally! Knew it all along! About time!" My chest tightened so hard I thought I might throw up. Because suddenly I realized this was not a secret affair. People knew. Other people knew. And one told me. I stared at that post until the words stopped looking real. Finally. Knew it all along. About time. My hands went numb. Because cheating was one thing, but finding out other people had known? That was a different kind of humiliation. It meant I had not just been betrayed. I had been the last person in the room to understand the joke. I started clicking through the comments like a woman trying to confirm her own worst fears. One girl wrote, "You two have had chemistry forever." Another, "Honestly, this makes way more sense, LOL." My stomach turned. Forever? How long had people been watching this happen? How many dinners, parties, birthdays, brunches had I attended smiling like an idiot while everyone around me noticed my boyfriend wanted my best friend? I called Jenna back immediately. Who knew? She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. Jenna. She sighed. People suspected. Who? A few of us. The room spun. A few of you? Mia, no one had proof. You watched my boyfriend flirt with my best friend and said nothing? We thought maybe we were wrong. No, I snapped. You chose comfort over honesty. Silence. Then quietly, I'm sorry. I hung up. And for the first time in days, I stopped crying. Because heartbreak had turned into anger. Cold, clean anger. The kind that sharpens you. Because if Daniel and Sophia wanted to play soulmate online 3 days after detonating my life, fine, let them. But if they were going to rewrite the story publicly into some tragic, wrong relationship, right person romance, I was not going to let them paint me as the obstacle. So I posted. Not a rant, not vague drama, just facts. A single Instagram story. Black background, white text. It said, just so everyone has the correct timeline. Daniel and Sophia began their relationship while Daniel and I were still together. Some people knew and stayed silent. I will not be participating in any false narrative that paints betrayal as fate. Carry on. Then I logged out. Within 10 minutes, chaos. My phone exploded. Messages from mutual friends. People asking if it was true. People saying they had no idea. People apologizing. People suddenly changing their tone now that the ugly truth was public. Then Daniel called from a blocked number. I answered. "What?" I said. His voice was furious. "Take it down." I actually laughed. "You're worried about your image right now?" "You're making this messy." "Messy?" I repeated. "You slept with my best friend for 6 months." "That's private." "No," I said. "You made it public when you posted your little soulmate launch 3 days later." He exhaled hard. "You're acting vindictive." That word. Vindictive. As if honesty became revenge when it embarrassed him. "You don't get to betray me and then dictate how quietly I process it." He went silent, then said coldly, "You're proving exactly why I left." I stared at the phone, then slowly smiled. Because suddenly, everything clicked. This was who he really was. Not remorseful, not conflicted, not ashamed. Just angry that consequences had arrived. I hung up without another word. And then, the universe handed me the final twist. The next morning, I woke up to a DM request from a girl I did not know. Her message read, "Hi, this is awkward, but were you dating Daniel until recently? Because I matched with him 2 weeks ago, and I think you deserve to know something." My pulse spiked. I answered immediately. Yes. Her response came with screenshots. My entire body went cold. Because there was Daniel, messaging her, flirting, asking her out, complimenting her photos, time-stamped, while he was already sleeping with Sophia, while still dating me, while apparently falling in love with his right person. I stared at the screenshots and started laughing. Actually laughing. Because the absurdity of it all was almost beautiful. He had blown up my life for Sophia and was still cheating on her before their fake relationship was even 1 week old. I sent the girl one reply. "Thank you. You have no idea how helpful this is." Then I sat back in my chair and looked at the screenshots for a long time. Because suddenly, I had a choice. I could move on quietly, let them destroy each other eventually. Or I could hand Sophia the exact same truth she helped hide from me. And maybe, for once, let betrayal come full circle. I stared at that post until the words stopped looking real. Finally. Knew it all along. About time. My hands went numb. Because cheating was one thing, but finding out other people had known? That was a different kind of humiliation. It meant I had not just been betrayed. I had been the last person in the room to understand the joke. I started clicking through the comments like a woman trying to confirm her own worst fears. One girl wrote, "You two have had chemistry forever." Another, "Honestly, this makes way more sense, LOL." My stomach turned. Forever? How long had people been watching this happen? How many dinners, parties, birthdays, brunches had I attended, smiling like an idiot while everyone around me noticed my boyfriend wanted my best friend? I called Jenna back immediately. Who knew? She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. Jenna, she sighed. People suspected. Who? A few of us. The room spun. A few of you? Mia, no one had proof. You watched my boyfriend flirt with my best friend and said nothing? We thought maybe we were wrong. No, I snapped. You chose comfort over honesty. Silence. Then quietly. I'm sorry. I hung up. And for the first time in days, I stopped crying. Because heartbreak had turned into anger. Cold, clean anger. The kind that sharpens you. Because if Daniel and Sophia wanted to play soulmate online 3 days after detonating my life, fine. Let them. But if they were going to rewrite the story publicly into some tragic, wrong relationship, right person romance, I was not going to let them paint me as the obstacle. So I posted. Not a rant, not vague drama, just facts. A single Instagram story. Black background, white text. It said, just so everyone has the correct timeline. Daniel and Sophia began their relationship while Daniel and I were still together. Some people knew and stayed silent. I will not be participating in any false narrative that paints betrayal as fate. Carry on. Then I logged out. Within 10 minutes, chaos. My phone exploded. Messages from mutual friends. People asking if it was true. People saying they had no idea. People apologizing. People suddenly changing their tone now that the ugly truth was public. Then Daniel called from a blocked number. I answered. What? I said. His voice was furious. Take it down. I actually laughed. You're worried about your image right now? You're making this messy. Messy? I repeated. You slept with my best friend for 6 months. That's private. No, I said. You made it public when you posted your little soulmate launch 3 days later. He exhaled hard. You're acting vindictive. That word. Vindictive. As if honesty became revenge when it embarrassed him. You don't get to betray me and then dictate how quietly I process it. He went silent, then said coldly, You're proving exactly why I left. I stared at the phone, then slowly smiled. Because suddenly, everything clicked. This was who he really was. Not remorseful, not conflicted, not ashamed. Just angry that consequences had arrived. I hung up without another word. And then, the universe handed me the final twist. The next morning, I woke up to a DM request from a girl I did not know. Her message read, Hi, this is awkward, but were you dating Daniel until recently? Because I matched with him 2 weeks ago, and I think you deserve to know something. My pulse spiked. I answered immediately. Yes. Her response came with screenshots. My entire body went cold. Because there was Daniel, messaging her, flirting,
asking her out, complimenting her photos, time-stamped, while he was already sleeping with Sophia, while still dating me, while apparently falling in love with his right person. I stared at the screenshots and started laughing. Actually laughing. Because the absurdity of it all was almost beautiful. He had blown up my life for Sophia and was still cheating on her before their fake relationship was even 1 week old. I sent the girl one reply. Thank you. You have no idea how helpful this is. Then I sat back in my chair and looked at the screenshots for a long time. Because suddenly, I had a choice. I could move on quietly, let them destroy each other eventually, or I could hand Sophia the exact same truth she helped hide from me. And maybe, for once, let betrayal come full circle.
For a long time, I thought the worst part of what Daniel did was the cheating. Then I thought it was losing Sophia. Then I thought it was the public humiliation of realizing other people knew before I did. But with time, I understood the deepest wound was something else entirely. It was how thoroughly betrayal makes you question yourself. After everything happened, I did not just wonder how I missed the signs. I wondered what was wrong with me that made people think I was someone they could lie to. I replayed every memory until it became unhealthy. Every compliment, every I love you, every late-night conversation, every holiday, every inside joke. I dissected all of it, trying to figure out what had been real and what had been performance. That is the part no one talks about enough. When someone betrays you deeply, they do not just damage your trust in them, they damage your trust in your own judgment. For months after the breakup, I second-guessed everyone. If a friend canceled plans, I wondered if they secretly disliked me. If someone complimented me, I questioned whether they meant it. If a man flirted with me, I assumed there had to be a hidden angle. It took therapy, real therapy, uncomfortable therapy, for me to understand something I wish I had known sooner. Being deceived by dishonest people does not mean you are foolish. It means you were operating in good faith while they were operating in manipulation. That is not weakness. That is character. Daniel and Sophia did not betray me because I lacked value. They betrayed me because they lacked integrity. And once I truly understood that, healing got easier. Not immediate, not clean, but easier. A year later, if you had looked at my life from the outside, it would have seemed almost unrecognizable. New apartment, new routines, new friends, carefully chosen. A quieter life, but a more honest one. And most importantly, a version of me who no longer confused familiarity with safety. Because that was the lesson I earned the hard way. Someone feeling familiar does not make them trustworthy. Someone being charming does not make them kind. And someone saying all the right things means absolutely nothing if their actions keep contradicting their words. People ask me sometimes if I regret finding out, as if ignorance might have been kinder, as if maybe I should have never opened that app, never seen the profile, never pulled on the thread. My answer is always the same. No. Because painful truth is still better than comfortable lies. Every time. Daniel did not ruin my life. He ruined the version of it built on deception. And thank God he did. Because the life I have now, hard-earned, peaceful, honest, is infinitely better than the one I almost stayed trapped in. So if you are in the middle of your own version of this right now, If your gut keeps whispering that something is off, if the person you love keeps giving you confusion while asking for trust, listen carefully. Love should not require constant doubt. Trust should not feel like self-betrayal. And the right person will never ask you to ignore your instincts in order to keep believing in them. Sometimes the worst heartbreak of your life is not a detour. It is the thing that saves you before you build a future with the wrong person. Finding that dating profile felt like the end of my world. It was not. It was the beginning of getting my life back. And if I learned anything from all of this, it is that being betrayed may break your heart, but seeing the truth before it is too late can save your future.